Greetings, comrades! This is Unforgiving Caleb, back with another random video. And having recently got the Xbox Elite controller, I figured this would be a good time to do a video I kind of want to do for a while now. And that is talk about the evolution of the Xbox controller. And for those who don't know, the Xbox controller is probably my preferred layout of controllers because of the asymmetrical joystick layout, which we'll get to in a minute. And it just feels comfortable for me, like the way everything was arranged. I think Microsoft nailed it out of the park when they introduced this layout to everyone. And I figured we start from the beginning, then work our way to today, what we have now. And I'm actually going to come from a different angle, so I can talk about each controller one by one. So do my best to get a little in-depth with the details and stuff, so you'll bear with me here. So, I guess we'll get started.
2001, the Xbox controller.
Okay, so naturally, since we're talking about Xbox controllers, I figure we go, where Xbox started. Back in 2001, well, technically 2002. This is actually the revised Xbox controller. And if you're familiar with the original Xbox, you might be familiar with the original controller, the Duke controller. I have a picture right here. Yeah, the sort of different layout, but I think a lot of people off of that controller was the size of it. Like, it's huge. It makes the Dreamcast controller look like a tiny CD, like a small GameCube CDs, I guess. But you can kind of see what they were going for. Though I'm glad they revised this because this feels a lot more comfortable, I imagine. And plus, the layout, for the most part, makes a little more sense. But, yeah, before we continue, sometimes I think of the Xbox as a spiritual successor to the Dreamcast. Why, you may ask? Well, you can see it has memory card slots. Yes, this is back before USB drives were a lot more commonplace. So, yeah, kind of reminds me of the Dreamcast. You put the memory card in the controller itself, and kind of like the Nintendo 64 controller, now that I think of it. But, that reason, and kind of the wideness of it kind of almost reminds me of the Dreamcast controller, though it's not as, high as the Dreamcast controller. But anyway, yeah, as someone who grew up a lot with the PlayStation 2, with the symmetrical thumbsticks, the thumbstick here and the D-pad up here, definitely enjoyed that for a while. Then it was around 2002, 2003, when we got the original Xbox, and when I held this controller, at first I was kind of in the layout, but after I played a lot of games on it, it became second nature to me. Which, yeah, if you're not familiar with the PlayStation controllers these days, especially back in the PS2 and PS1 days, there's a symmetrical thumbstick layout. We had this thumbstick here, and the D-pad would be up here, and the face button's here. And the start and select buttons will be here. And that's what I was used to for quite a while. Then we got the Xbox, and then we got this asymmetrical layout, which at first I was kind of confused. Like, why does it stick over here and over here? Then once you start playing like first-person shooters like Halo and like Call of Duty, yes, Call of Duty wasn't the original Xbox. This is before it became mainstream. It clicked with me. It feels comfortable. This stick moves, this stick aims, stuff like that. And I just grew attached to this layout, though there are a few things that I'm kind of on about it, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, got the sticks here, got the D-pad here, which for the time it's decent. It's certainly better than the next controller, which, yeah, we'll get to that. And yeah, this is pretty iconic for me, the colored buttons, the green A, red B, blue X, and yellow Y. So it's pretty synonymous with Xbox these days. And you already mentioned the memory cards, which I never actually owned a memory card. Honestly, even with all the games we had at the time and all the saves we had, we still didn't max out the hard drive. At the time, I thought, I was like, oh my god, it's a huge hard drive, which at the time it was. But yeah, got the buttons here. We got two triggers. Yeah, no shoulder buttons, triggers. And yeah, unlike the PlayStation controllers, it's actually a trigger. It's not just a button like R2, L2, which, those are pretty infamous back in the day. They changed that with the PS4 controller, but yeah, those L2 and R2s, I wasn't a huge fan of those, but these, they feel like actual triggers. Like, in a way, it makes it feel more immersive. Like, if you're playing a first-person shooter, it actually feels like your fingers on a trigger and stuff, which, really nice design thought there, Microsoft. And, yeah, there were a few things I was kind of about this. For starters, you notice the start button is down here, along with the back button, which, you know, some I refer to as a select button. It's kind of the same thing, but yeah, they're down here, not in the middle. I'm not sure why Microsoft chose that. Now, the Duke controller, they're actually down here, which to me might be even more awkward. But yeah, like I'm playing like Halo and I'm moving around, I gotta pause the game, I gotta reach down here, and yeah, that doesn't feel very comfortable for me. I don't feel that much strain, but it just doesn't feel right to me. It feel right here, be a little better. Like, I don't have to travel my thumb that far in order to pause the game. Like, down here is like, yeah, I'm not sure they're thinking putting the back and start buttons down here. But, you know, gotta cut them some slack. You know, this was their first console. It was only their second controller. Yeah. God, can you imagine using the Duke controller these days? I actually remember buying one at my local retro store a long time ago, but I have no idea where that controller went. But I mainly got it for like a keepsake, because the wiring on it was messed up and it doesn't actually work anymore, but I wanted to hang on to it. Just say, hey, I have a Duke controller, but it just vanished. I don't know where it went, but oh well. But yeah, back and start on here, and you'll notice here, black and white buttons. These are interesting choice of buttons here. I'm not sure what they were going for here, which instead of using traditional shoulder buttons, which I guess for the controller like this, yeah, that wouldn't feel very comfortable. You know, down here, you know, triggers are fine, but up here, yeah, I can imagine the strain on your hand in the long run. But yeah, the black and white buttons are down here, and they serve like different functions in games as well, but they aren't used that much. But anyway, so the original Xbox controller, nice little stepping stone, but it only gets better from here. So let's move on to the 360 controller.
2005, the Xbox 360 controller.
Alright, now we segue on to the GOAT. Pretty much one of the most legendary controllers out there, though it does have its flaws, we'll admit. But yeah, see for you the Xbox 360 controller, the original Xbox 360 controller. Remember the original Xbox 360 has this like sort of white color to it? Yeah, that's what they went for here. Well, they do sell black versions of this, and as well as the special versions, which we'll get to later on. But yeah, such a iconic controller. It's pretty much synonymous for gaming in like the late 2000s and early 2010s even. But yeah, it's such a recognizable controller. Like, you know, you walk by a store and see like, yep, Xbox 360. But yeah, it pretty much retains the same layout for the most part as the original Xbox controller. You got the asymmetrical thumbsticks, which these actually feel, they're actually a tad bit wider, so they fit my thumbs a little better. And yeah, the grip is probably can't tell from there, but this feels a little more comfortable for me. But even today, it feels good. Like, and got the triggers here, which yeah, not as big. They don't stick out as much as the original Xbox controllers, but they're there and they're nice and responsive. And we got shoulder buttons. That's really nice. And we've got the same ABXY buttons, same colors too. They're probably can't tell, they're a little bit closer together. Kind of hard to tell. But yeah, still recognizable today. And yeah, one of the big things, yes, they move the back and start buttons in the middle. So it's a lot more comfortable to you know, press the start buttons over here, but much easier to reach for me. You know, being right there, it goes, you know, PlayStation controller start buttons there and the select buttons there, so this makes sense. And yeah, I forgot to mention the original Xbox controller. Yeah, they do have the joystick buttons, whereas here I have these as well. Yeah, this controller is a little, this one gets stuck up a little bit, so yeah, that's something to keep in mind. And yeah, even today feels weird. I'm glad that HyperCam made a re-release of this controller as a Xenon, which I might get one of those later, though. Big Barn that it's wired only. You only use it when it's wired. There's no wireless version, at least not yet to my knowledge. Hopefully they do release one. And if they do, I hope they include this. It's probably one of my favorite things with this controller, the battery pack. And I don't remember the battery life. I have it on the screen here. And I heard it's decent for what it is, at least for the time. But yeah, the battery pack, this is probably my favorite thing about this controller. Basically, you just take your batteries, it's them like shotgun shells, and then pop them in here, good to go. So yeah, really cool design there. Just personal preference, you know. And yeah, you notice this is a wireless controller, which they did sell a wired version as well. Naturally, it's not gonna have the battery pack, but it has just the permanently attached wire to it. Whereas this, you can use wireless or wired. There's a separate adapter you plug into here, so you can use it wired if you want. And there's the wireless connection button, so you can connect it to your Xbox. And down here, we have a headphone jack. It uses a proprietary jack, so you can use its, Xbox's own gaming headset, which, yeah, it wasn't the best, but it came with the system, so, you know, can't worry too much about that, but it wasn't the greatest. I used it, and wasn't a huge fan of it, honestly. For one, it didn't fit my fat head, and it served its purpose to let you hear games and, you know, talk to people online, but yeah. But yeah, and of course we got the guide button, which, yeah, see 1, 2, 3, 4, this indicates the control order. So yeah, in the Xbox Series you have 4 players. So for player 1, this side will light up. For player 2, this will light up, and so on and so forth. And you can also use this to wake the console, which is really cool. You know, if you have your console by your desk, you just grab your controller, hold a button, turn your Xbox, and you're ready to game. And it's really good, you know. Wireless controllers, they were pretty much exploding back then, which I forgot to mention, the original Xbox controller is just wired only. Like, this is way before wireless controllers became more mainstream, which we pretty much just stuck with wired controllers for a while. Then Nintendo came out with the Wavebird for the GameCube. The rest is history. So yeah, as good as the original Xbox controller was, this one, much superior, way superior in every way, except for one thing, and I think y'all know what it is. The D-pad, which I'm probably one of the minority here, but I personally didn't have a problem with the D-pad. I mean, it works well enough, but it doesn't feel right. Like, a lot of people compare it's just like just a joystick that's masquerading as a D-pad, and they're not too far off. You see how much it slides around? Like, original, yeah, it looks like a slide, but no, it's like I press it and it works fine. But here, like, it's just me sliding around, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it's unanimous that this is one of the worst D-pads ever on an official controller. But thankfully, they learned their lesson in the Xbox One controllers, we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, Xbox 360 controller is still such an amazing controller, even to this day. And yeah, if you ever want to use this on your PC and stuff, just get HyperCam's Xenon controller. It's pretty much the same controller layout and everything. It's just, you know, you have the guide button, and of course, it's wired only. Hopefully they release a wireless version, because, you know, Xbox 360 and wireless, you know, can't go wrong with that. But yeah, minus this D-pad, this is definitely one of the best and at least most iconic controllers in video games. So, where do we go from here?
2013, the Xbox One controller.
Well, naturally we step it up with the Xbox One controller. Now, this isn't my original Xbox One controller. I had a blue one, which I've had for a few years, and a really good controller. Though, well, ever since I got this, which we'll talk about later. Oh, it's dusty and stuff, but yeah. Ever since I got that controller, I pretty much had no use for the original Xbox One controller, so I just gave it to my nephew, and he had good use of it. Though, yeah, one thing I know, you can actually use this controller on the Xbox Series S and X, and the same is true for the Xbox Series controller. You can use that on the Xbox One, which is really cool. But, yeah, let's just talk about the Xbox One. This actually came with my sister's Xbox One, which I honestly hardly ever played, but, hey, at least it has a home now. But, yeah, might as well just bring out the 360 controller again, and, yeah, not the best angle here, but, yeah, the Xbox One layout, very similar. Not as iconic as the 360 in my opinion, but it still serves its purpose, and it serves it well. As you can see, the guide button's up here now. You see this little bezel on the top here, which kind of separates it from the rest, I guess. But yeah, we have the option button. I think this is the option button, and start button, which I forgot what they call it. I just call them start and select, because let's face it, that's been playing in our heads for decades now, so that's what I'm rolling with. Hopefully that's what you're rolling with. But anyway, these joysticks are a little smaller, at least circumference-wise, are a little smaller. Not as wide as these joysticks here, but they feel really nice. I know some people don't like the concave joysticks. Some it slips out of their thumbs too easily. Me, I don't have too much of a problem with them. It's not like I'm playing like competitive games or anything like that, where every little reflex counts. So some people prefer the convex joysticks like the PlayStation 2 and 3 controllers had. And, you know, to each their own. But I personally have no problem with these joysticks. They're nice and responsive and comfortable. And notice a proper D-pad, and a better one at that. Yeah, you know how crappy this D-pad is, but this one, definitely a step in the right direction. It's a proper D-pad. Nice responsive, it doesn't slide around and stuff. Which I forgot to mention, with the 360 controller, there was another version where you can actually turn the D-pad, and it'll turn to a proper D-pad similar to that one. And you turn again, it'll switch back to this. Why you want to switch back to this, I'm not sure. But hey, different strokes for different folks, but yeah, I made it pretty much standard place here, proper D-pad. And so I got the traditional layout, A, B, X, Y. And triggers here, let me do a little comparison here. Here, they're a bit smaller. I can still press them fine, stuff like that. These triggers here, they're a little wider. Still feel nice to the click and stuff. These triggers here, they're also pretty wide. A little comparison here. You see those Xbox 360 triggers? And look at these Xbox One triggers. See how much bigger they are? Which means, like, if you hold on the side, you can still press the trigger down. So, but me doing it the old-fashioned way works just as well. Very nice and clicky. And you got the connection button here and micro USB. Yeah. Which, you know, micro USB, you know, it does its job, though it's not known for its durability. Which, there are actually a few revisions of this controller. Which, yeah, actually, let me look it up real quick. So, yeah, there are two revisions. The original controller, it was all black, had colored face buttons. And the first revision, which included a 3.5mm headphone jack, which the original did not. Which was kind of weird, but there you go. And it has wireless firmware updates. Really handy. And other than that, it's pretty much the same as the original version. Which the original version is model 1697, whereas the the original version is model 1537. The 2015 revision, I can talk today, is a model 1697. So that was the first revision, which I don't recall which version it was. There was another revision. Okay, so yeah, this is the first revision here. There's a second revision that released alongside the Xbox One S, which had textured grips, which this one doesn't. And the biggest thing, Bluetooth compatibility. Yes, this is just traditional wireless here. Whereas the second revision, which is model 1708, yes, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right now. It has Bluetooth capability, which, what I could tell, you want to look at the top here. If it's a little shinier, I believe, that's the second version, which is a more commonplace one these days. And that's the one with Bluetooth compatibility, which allows you to use it on PC and mobile devices without the need of a wireless adapter, which is really cool. And there's actually a third revision, which is actually the Xbox Series controller, which we'll get to later. But yeah, the Xbox One controller still feels good in my hands. You know, it's actually a little more comfortable than the 360 controller. This is comfortable on its own right, though. Yeah, it's a little bit more comfortable here. I didn't realize there was a little texturing on here as well, but this actually feels more comfortable in my hands. It fits almost perfectly in my hands. Not as perfectly as the 8-bit Ultimate controller, but it still fits nice in my hands. And again, the one I did have, it did its job, and it did its job pretty well. But yeah, Xbox One controller, great controller in its own right, but you know what's even better?
2020. The Xbox Series controller and Xbox Elite controller.
That's right. We move on to probably the greatest Xbox controller. Even though I said the 360 one was the greatest. Well, it's the most iconic. But as far as actual use goes, you know, Microsoft nailed it out of the park with the Xbox Series controller, also known as the third revision, which came out alongside the Xbox Series line of Xboxes. And yeah, just to bring up the Xbox One controller again, it's pretty similar for the most part, though there are a few key differences, which you're going to see a few right off the bat, which, yeah, there's no longer that bezel that separates the guide button from everything else. But we also have the inclusion of a share button, which, yeah, if you play on Xbox and even Steam Big Picture mode, you press this button, it'll take a screenshot, which is really, really handy. And another big thing, this D-pad here, which may sound crazy, I actually like this D-pad the most, because it pretty much mimics the Xbox Elite controller's disc-like D-pad here, which we'll get to that in a minute. But it's pretty much commonplace with these controllers now, and it feels very responsive and really nice. It's easy to, despite the shape, it's easy to press up, down, left, right, and diagonals really well with it. Yeah, joysticks are pretty much the same, face buttons are the same, shoulder buttons and triggers pretty much the same, only these are textured, though you see the triggers here, more texture up here, whereas the shoulder buttons, just a little bit of texturing there, so, you know, at least you know it's there, but, yeah. And you notice on top, Type-C, that's right, Type-C connection here, and, other than that, it's pretty much a vastly improved version of the original Xbox One controller. And yeah, forgot to mention the battery pack back here. Put your batteries in here, which, yeah, it does a job, and I don't remember the, I don't really pay attention to the battery life, to be honest. Though, it does last a pretty long time, and even if it does die out, I have a rechargeable battery, so I just charge them up there. But yeah, the Xbox Series controller, definitely the pinnacle of standard controllers, but if you're either A, you have a lot of money to burn, B, you're a very competitive gamer and you want the best of the best out there, or C, you're a complete idiot, which for me it's C, you can go, instead of this, to this, the Xbox Elite controller. There's a little splotch in there, because, yeah. Now this is the Series 2 version of this controller. The Series 1 version, which is $150 when it came out. Yeah, pretty pricey, yeah. These are like $60 or $70 now, but yeah, the original Series 1 Xbox Elite controller, you know, I might as well talk about the features the Xbox Elite controllers have. Basically, pretty similar layout, though instead of a share button, as compared to the Series controllers, this is a profile button. The Series 1 controller lets you switch between two different profiles, which you can customize to the Xbox accessories app on the PC. But the Series 2 controller has 3 profiles. And, I'll break this out real quick. Now, the Xbox Elite controller is known for its customization, which, yeah, if you get the standard version, it comes with this carrying case, which includes a few extra tools and goodies. For one, it has swappable thumbsticks. Basically, just take these out. They're held together by magnets, and you can switch between different thumbsticks. If you want the original 360 style thumbsticks, you can use that. You also have this dome-looking D-pad, which, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really sure what games this is meant for. I'm gonna say like racing games or maybe puzzle games or something like that, but I don't know. I haven't found much of a use for this. I have found a use for this longer joystick. Now, obviously, this is kind of meant for like first-person shooters. Like, you put that on the right thumbstick, and it makes it easy for you to aim more precisely. You know, makes it easier to make like precise movements there. And I actually use this on Vampire Survivors, and like if my character is like super fast, I can just tilt this just a little bit and have better control of my speed and stuff. So yeah, it's really cool to have. You know, well, this might be a little excessive, but you know, rather have it not need it than need it not have it, I guess. And another thing I noticed, this nice little disc-looking D-pad, which, yeah, very responsive, nice and clicky too. And yeah, that's pretty much drew inspiration to the series D-pad. But you know, if you like the original D-pad, you can just take the D-pad out of here and use that. But yeah, it's kind of stuck in there. But I don't know. I've grown really partial to this, so this is what I'm using. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention about the thumbsticks. Here, you have this little tension tool, which if you turn it clockwise, it'll increase the tension. If you turn it counterclockwise, it'll decrease it. So, you know, moves a little more, moves a little less, depending on your preference. I kind of maxed out the tension, so it feels kind of solid for me. Of course, you got the same triggers, shoulder buttons. These have a little texture, almost feel metallic too, because this is a pretty high quality controller. Yeah, full metal construction. That's why it's heavier. In the back here, yeah, we have 3 little contacts in the back, because this comes with a charging dock. Which, yeah, that's one thing they need to talk about right now. There are 2 different versions of the Series 2 controller. There's this one, and there's a core version, which pretty much it's just a controller, a charging cable, and this tool. It doesn't come with the extra paddles and stuff, though you could buy third-party ones on Amazon for like $20-30. Even the charging dock's like less than $15, so you can go that way if you want. And it comes with different colors, whereas the original Elite controller, it's all black, which, you know, I'm kind of cool with. But yeah, back to the back. Yeah, these contacts are for the charging dock, which you can charge with the Type-C port up here, but if you like to display your controller a little neatly while still charging it, you have the charging dock. You'll notice back here, we have trigger tension switches, which I think you want to call them. So here, it's full travel, and you switch these, it decreases the amount of travel to make the triggers respond. So here, they come down about halfway, you come down here, you just barely touch them and they'll respond. And you notice the paddles back here, which I thought these are like separate keys, but no, they mimic the face buttons. You can customize which face buttons they imitate through the Xbox Accessories app. And yeah, the Xbox Accessories, that's also how you update the firmware for these controllers. Which that's how I had to upgrade this, update the firmware on this so I can use it on the Steam Deck. Which this should be able to work on here. But really solid controller. There are a few downsides. Obviously the price. Whereas the original Xbox Elite controller was $150. This is $180. Now, the only reason I have it is because I got it was on sale. It was like $140 when I got this one. And yeah, as I mentioned in that video, my dad gave us a little, gave me and my nephew $100 every now and then, you know, as a thank you for helping out with his you know, his doctor's appointments and helping out around the house and stuff like that. So, were it not for his generosity, I wouldn't have jumped the shark to get one of these. But yeah, $180 for this controller. The core version's $140. Because like I said, it doesn't come with all this stuff, but it's $40 cheaper, so you want to go that route, you can. You just buy a third-party set of thumbsticks and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much a big gripe. It's expensive. Though there is one other thing that I kind of wish this had. Which I forgot to mention, all these controllers, they use regular analog joysticks. Which, yeah, they haven't been getting the best rep the last few years because of two words: stick drift. You know, analog joysticks over time, they'll degrade and it'll cause stick drift where it'll keep moving in one direction and stuff. And that's why I love the 8-bit Ultimate controller, the Bluetooth controller anyway, because of the Hall effect joysticks. They use magnetic sensors, which are a lot less prone to stick drift. And even if it does have drift, you just use the software, calibrate the joysticks, and you're good to go. But this controller, even as expensive as it is, it's still regular analog joysticks. Which, yeah, Microsoft, if you make another Xbox Elite controller, please make them Hall effect joysticks. I guarantee you it'll be a lot better controller, which is already a good controller, but it could be so much better with Hall effect sticks. And maybe get a slightly larger battery, which I do know the battery life for this, 40 hours, which is kind of par for the course for controllers these days. So that the 8-bit Ultimate controller is like 22 hours. That's because Hall effect joysticks, they use a little more power than regular analog joysticks, so maybe that's why they're not more commonplace in controllers these days, because they use a lot more power. But they're more responsive and they're less prone to stick drift, so maybe they're going to release another controller for such a thing. Who knows? I do know they're possibly making a revised controller, which has like an accelerometer on it, similar to the PlayStation 5 DualSense controllers, and a few other extra features and stuff. Which I didn't really look into that, but for now, this is the pinnacle of Xbox controllers. You know, again, the price, you know, I'll leave it to you. The term of it's worth $180. I suggest maybe find it on sale like I did. But if you're not big on the customization and stuff, then just get the Xbox. Even this is still an awesome controller. You know, it still feels good in my hands and does everything I needed to and then some. This is just the icing on the cake. Which again, if you want to go for this, you can. But if not, you're not going to go wrong with this. So yeah, those are the Xbox Series controllers that we know them today. And there you have it. Complete rundown, the evolution of the Xbox controller. We'll say, you know, it's nice to hold the original Xbox controller for the first time. Well, not exactly original, you know, it's not the Duke controller, which that's what some people think of these days, but when you think original Xbox, this controller comes to mind. So yeah, went from good to great to also great to better to better-er. That's even a word. But yeah, we can all agree the 360 controller is definitely one of the best, if not the best controller, sans this D-pad, for video gaming. But if you ask me, the Series controller was a major leap up. You know, just better D-pad, better joysticks, in my opinion, and extra features. You know, built-in Bluetooth. And I do miss that battery compartment. You can load it like shotgun shells. But other than that, really awesome controller. But again, the Elite controller is just icing on the cake. Though, again, I'll leave it to you to determine if the $180 price tag is worth it. Personally, if my dad wasn't so generous with his allowance and stuff for helping around the house, I wouldn't have bit the bullet on one of these. I probably just put about another 8-bit Do controller. But you know, I'm glad to have one of these finally, and yeah, it's just an amazing controller. Again, if you have the money to spend, you have a little extra money burning in your pocket, maybe get one of these. Otherwise, I don't think you're going to go wrong with the original Xbox Series controller. It's just such an awesome controller. So anyway, this is I'm Caleb signing out. Have a good day.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.